over what has happened, because when my daughter was telling me this, my mouth was dropped to the floor, because I have never heard of such. It's so unbelievable. The people, my mother and her husband never asked where their tithes went. They didn't care. All they did was pay them and allowed the church to use it whatever way they saw fit or whatever way God saw fit. And the same with being good tax-paying citizens. Never ask where the tax dollar went. Just work like proverbial dogs until their death. They never got a food stamp, never asked for anything their whole lives. They owned property. He worked at River Oaks Country Club for 50 years. Ideal citizens, the type of people that you want them to be. Never question where their tax dollars go. Use it any way, government, any kind of way you see fit. I love the country. I trust you. On 4th of July, they wear red, white, and blue flags. These are liberal black people wearing flags on 4th of July. How more dedicated and loyal can you be? And for them to tell me that she can't have the same funeral that they gave to my dad, and my mom worshiped that church, and the pastor, when Reverend Branch died, that was the pastor she'd known since a little child. When they brought this younger man in, a lot of the old folks, my mother's age, got up and left. They said, this young man, he don't know nothing about God. He can't teach me nothing. I'm going to go somewhere else. My mother, because she was a progressive thinking older woman like I am myself, she said, you people are crazy. Do you think I'm going to leave this church just because that man is young? I'm going to go by what he can offer. If he can preach the word of God, I don't care if he was 9 years old. And that's the way I feel. My pastor is very Osteen. I follow him. He's young, good-looking, rich, and his wife is rich. I'm poor as all get out and go. Do you think I give a darn about that man being young? It depends on whether or not he can inspire me and keep me believing in God. My mother is the one that stood by this man's side, and he's going to kick her in her stomach when she's dead. Sir, wow. If you can tell that I am not angry, I'm livid and incensed. You know, Pastor Osteen tried to keep us under control. I've lost it. In other words, it's not that I've lost my faith in God. I am angry. I am outraged. That's all that the woman wanted. To be kicked. It's already bad enough what has happened to her. I can't even go into the story of what has happened to my mother that caused her death, because it's more painful than this. But this is just the last straw. Wow. It's the last straw, sir. I can't take it anymore. They said, listen, the woman has never been sick a day in her life except to go to the hospital and have babies. She has not overburdened the system with her always being ill, a drinking, smoking, drugging type of person that is negligent of their own health and take up all the money in the system and don't let anybody use it. That woman takes care of her stuff. I'm a bit overweight, but my mother was always nice and thin and trim and ate right and did right. And you know what I'm saying? She don't overabundance the system, and how dare them do what they have done to my mother.
And that is what has upset me. And I always tell people, do not get me involved unless you have reached the point where you are right now. Because once we get involved, we go all the way. Meaning that this becomes very personal. And it becomes our fight. Now, my goal first
I am an advocate, and I've been one since I came out of my mother's womb. I advocated for the civil rights movement. I advocated for the women's movement. I'm now involved with children and seniors. I've studied law. I've won every case that I've taken. I'm not a lawyer, but I've won every single case I've taken in pro per or pro se or whatever I've ever done for other people and myself, and I'm still studying law on the computer. I am a fighter to the bitter end for change. I'm from the old school.
Yes.
We're not even keeping up the things that we fought for back in the 60s and 70s. Yes. Some of us we're letting go. We're going backwards instead of forward.
Yes,
so, sir, if you ever call somebody that would stick by your side, elbow to elbow, leg to leg, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball, you got the lady.
Thank you. And that's why I needed your blessing. I can't go forward without your blessing, because there's two parts to this. The first part is diplomatic. That's where we reach out and we encourage him very strongly, right, to reconsider his position. This next part of this, if he decides not to, then we're basically a news wire. So at the point that he decides not to, then that's when the writing starts. Once the writing starts, that goes out in a blast. Once that blast goes out, even more pressure will be applied to him. Finally, after that blast has taken place, then boots go on the ground. And we go to that location. Sometimes we show up on Sunday at service. But the goal is to get the pastor to reconsider his position. And this is one such case that I want to take on immediately today. And I want to reach out to him at the conclusion of our phone call. And this number that I have, is that the number to him or to the church?
Let me make sure that all of this information is correct, dear sir. Can you hold on a moment?